Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. The Border Gavaskar Trophy starts tomorrow, and I'm extremely excited about it. In today's video, I'm going to preview the series, talk about the unusual hype around it, how both teams are stacking up, team-wise and combination-wise, how big a concern is Virat Kohli's form, how much will India's historic series loss to New Zealand affect them in this series, implications of this series on the World Test Championship, and finally, my prediction for the series. So drop a like if you're excited for this marquee series, subscribe to my channel, and away we go. We're going to go through this series game by game together on my channel, so subscribe so that you don't miss anything. Starting off with a quick chat about the quite unusual hype around the series. Just listen to some of the stuff that the Australian media is doing to hype it up. Listen to this. The Australian players are being forced to compliment the Indians about their skills. Mitchell Stark, who will be devising 100 different plans to get Virat Kohli out tomorrow morning in Perth, is going on talking about how skillful he is. Are you serious? And this is for all the players. Hazelwood complimenting Rishabh Pant's hitting abilities, Manas Labuschagne and Steve Smith are talking Ashwin up and a whole lot more. But it gets even better. Listen to this. The Aussies are being asked about which Indian cricketer they would like in their own Australian team. In their minds, they're probably like, no one. We don't want any of the Indian players in our team. But we've got a few entertaining responses there. Then also, all the Australian cricket's Instagram and news outlets in Australia are giving this series all kinds of headlines, like the toughest rivalry and whatnot. I reckon the Aussies would be better off focusing on their own game rather than doing all this, because last time I checked, India have won the last two test series on Aussie soil. But anyway, sometimes you feel like you need a bit of this propaganda leading into such a big series. All right, so before we start, let's get a quick overview of the schedule for the series. The first test match starts tomorrow in Perth, um, and it's a 7:50 a.m. Indian Standard Time start. The second test match is in Adelaide. It'll be a day-night test match, so it's a little later start. And it's got a pretty big break between the first and second test matches because, as you can see, there's an extra warm-up game that India wants to play so that they get used to the pink ball and the challenges that come with the day-night test match. So the second test is on the 6th of December, starts at 9:30 a.m. in Indian Standard Time. Then the Gabba in Brisbane, one of my favorite venues because of what's happened last time around when India played there. The third test match is at the Gabba in Brisbane. That's a very early start, 5:50 a.m. Indian Standard Time. So set your alarms and wake up and watch it. The fourth test match is the iconic Boxing Day test match at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and that starts at 5 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And last but not the least, the series finale in Sydney, the New Year's test match, the big test, that starts at 5 a.m. Indian Standard Time as well. All right, moving on to a more important topic. How are India and Australia stacking up for this series? Let's start with India. As you probably know, regular captain Rohit Sharma has been blessed with a baby boy on November 15, so heartiest congratulations to him and his family. But that means that he will miss the series opener in Perth. In his absence, Jasprit Bumrah will be leading the side. He's done it once before in England, albeit not successfully. But anyway, more than the captaincy, it is the opener's role where Rohit Sharma would be absolutely missed. Let me explain why. Now, if you're following Indian cricket, Indian Test cricket lately, you would know that KL Rahul is not in the best of spaces mentally. He failed repeatedly in home conditions against New Zealand and was subsequently dropped from the side. And also, this was in his preferred batting position of number five. However, with Rohit's absence, it is all but certain that this man is going to face the new ball as opener tomorrow morning in conditions that could not get more difficult. Hats off to Cricket Australia for picking the schedule and setting the schedule in such a way that the series opener will be played on arguably the toughest pitch of the entire series, and a pitch that will be the most foreign to India in terms of pace and bounce. The situation with KL Rahul is like throwing a kid into the deep end of a swimming pool without a float. KL Rahul, in my opinion, is not ready to take on the role of opening the batting in Perth on the first morning of a big test series. But of course, for Indian cricket's sake, I hope he proves me wrong. Of course, some people will say that it is better off for Indian cricket that Rohit Sharma is not playing, considering his current form, which I admit is nowhere close to his own lofty standards. But to have that experience and solidity that Rohit Sharma brings at the top of the order is second to none. But anyway, this is the situation, and KL Rahul will have to be able to adapt his game to be able to keep Australia's killer pace trio at bay. Moving on, the second opener, of course, will be the young and extremely talented Yashasvi Jaiswal. Not much to talk about him there because I'm confident that he will be able to do well in these conditions. And also, he's in top form at the moment. Now, the number 3 position. Regular number 3 Shubman Gill has fractured his thumb and is out of the opening test. So that's 2 players missing from your top 3. It's not a good start now, is it? And now this is where each and every Indian fan will be missing one of India's legends, long-time stalwarts, Cheteshwar Pujara. But anyway, as Gill's replacement, young batter Devdutt Padikkal is in line for a test debut tomorrow. I honestly cannot weigh him down with expectations because he's only played the IPL. So you can't really judge a player based on the IPL. I don't know about his domestic record. He probably has a fantastic domestic record, and that's why he's been chosen, because he's not played an international game for India. It may be just a one-match opportunity for him because Gill is likely to return. Actually, he will return. Gill will return from the second test match onwards, and hopefully he becomes a reliable option for India. Then comes number 4. You know who it is, obviously, but what's with this guy? All that we want as fans of this sport is one final test peak from Virat Kohli. It's obvious that this may well be his last tour of Australia, and he would absolutely love to make it count. Last time around, when India did the unthinkable and won that series with literally a C team in 2021, he was not around, ironically because he had just become a father. Hence, this time, with no captaincy weight on his shoulders, he would want to make it memorable. Of course, we know that form has evaded him for some time. Nothing is going right for him. He's getting out to full tosses, getting run out in Test cricket, and just clearly not in a good space. However, Perth, the venue for the first Test match, has been a happy hunting ground for him. In 2018, he scored one of his finest overseas hundreds here in Perth, and he will remember that for sure. So there will be that sense of familiarity for him at that venue, and hopefully that will be what he needs to get back into Kohli form. Personally, I think that he's going to have an absolutely rocking series because historically, I have seen with him, we've all seen with him, he plays his best cricket when his back is up against the wall, and there is no doubt that this time his back personally is up against the wall. So the stage is set for a Virat Kohli classic down under. Then at number 5 is the dynamic wicketkeeper batsman Rishabh Pant. Of course, everybody remembers his heroics the last time India was here. He was the main character in India's cast in that magnificent performance. Again, not much talk needed about him. He's got the quality to really excel in those conditions, and he's in red hot form too. Next, number 6. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Normally, when I tell you that there is a reserve wicketkeeper in the squad, what does that mean? It means that if the main wicketkeeper, who's Rishabh Pant in this case, gets injured, then the reserve keeper will perform keeping duties as a substitute, but obviously is not allowed to bat. However, the reserve keeper in this tour, Dhruv Jurel, is in line for a place as a specialist batter in tomorrow's game. Can you believe it? He's impressed the selectors so much in the India A tour that they asked him to work on his ground fielding so he could be in the team as a batsman. He replaces another young promising star, Sarfaraz Khan, who blew hot and cold in the home series against New Zealand and will perhaps have to wait a little longer before making his test return. Now, mind you, Dhruv Jurel has played test cricket for India before, but that was when Rishabh Pant was still recovering from his injuries from his horrific car accident. During that time, Jurel emerged as a hero for India as he led India with the bat to an improbable victory against England at home. So he knows how to do it when the pressure is on, and come tomorrow, he will need to use all of that in Perth. Moving on to number 7, and India will be seeing their second debutant of a day after Devdutt Padikkal. Young star Nitish Kumar Reddy is in line to be India's next test cricketer. For those of you who do not know him, he's a fast bowling all-rounder who's a pretty good batsman as well. We've only seen him in the IPL where he's done exceedingly well for his franchise, but I read somewhere recently that he has exceptional records in domestic cricket with both bat and ball. That makes him a valuable asset for any team. So once again, just like the case with Padikkal, I will not comment too much about him, but all that I can say is that I think he will be a handful with the ball on the pacey and bouncy conditions tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him fire up in Perth. Then Number 8 position comes the lone spinner. No question there really, or at least I hope. It should most likely be R. Ashwin, um, Indian off-spinner legend, Ravichandran Ashwin, absolute stalwart of the game. I hope he plays. However, they could play Jadeja. But one good question is effectiveness in Australia and at this stage of his career. Also, Ashwin's experience is second to none, really. He's toured Australia 5 times, with this one being his fifth. So he knows a thing or two about bowling successfully in Australia. Then come the three pacers, two of which pick themselves automatically. One is Captain Jasprit Bumrah, and second is Mohammad Siraj. Bumrah, of course, will be India's main bowling weapon throughout the series. Siraj, however, has not been in the best of form recently, but Australian conditions will suit him. And remember that he made his test debut, and a very memorable one as well, on these very shores. So once again, just like Kohli, the familiarity of the conditions should hopefully be able to get him back to his best. Then the third fast bowler. Until an hour ago, I thought it was going to be Akashdeep because he's played for India. He's done well for India in India. So I thought, he's gonna be the third pacer. But now reports are coming in from Australia that they're looking at Prasidh Krishna potentially at handing him a debut as well. However, I don't think the Indian management would be comfortable giving 3 debuts in the same test match. So I think they would go with the tried and tested option of Akashdeep. He did really well in the home series against Bangladesh and New Zealand, and his extra pace and skiddy bowling is perfectly suited for Australian wickets. So that is how India is stacking up for the first test match. Separately, we know that Mohammad Shami sustained an injury in last year's World Cup final in Ahmedabad. Since then, he's been recovering and been out of action for a year. There was really no hopes of him even playing one game in this BGT. But suddenly, out of the blue, he rocked up for the Ranji Trophy and casually picked up 7 wickets in his first game back after a year. He claims that his body is feeling superb, so you never know. It's a very long series, and I do realistically see him playing for India in the later parts of the series. Boxing Day, maybe. Now, you could argue that this is not a full-strength team, which it isn't. But if there is one team that knows how to win in Australia with a second and even third string team, it is this one. So do not count India out. And also Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill will be back in the mix of things from the second game onwards. This is a 5 test match series, so they will be up and ready for the next 4 games. And this has even been confirmed by the BCCI. Right, now let's get on to Australia and how they are stacking up. Of course, the pressure is well and truly on them because they have not won the Border Gavaskar Trophy since 2014, which is 10 years ago. So they will want to have a point to prove that they mean business and will do everything in their capacity to prevent India from going back to back to back. Let's talk about their team now. Opening the batting is experienced left-hander Usman Khawaja, who's also a gun in the field. The other opener, though, is a debutant. Yes, even Australia has a debutant. Following David Warner's retirement last year, the Aussies have been on the hunt for his successor, and they might just have found one in Nathan McSweeney. All I know about him is that he's come into the test team on the back of scoring tons of runs for his domestic side. Then at number 3 is the ever-reliable Marnus Labuschagne, and at 4 is Aussie legend Steve Smith. Now, the current story of Smith is pretty similar to that of Virat Kohli. After dominating world cricket for more than a decade, Steve Smith suddenly finds himself in terrible form of late. He tried opening the batting last year in place of the retired David Warner, but that did not quite go to plan because he averaged like 12 and a half as opener in 5 test matches. That's 10 innings, and he got 150, I think, and no hundreds. So now for this summer, he's back in the position that has got him heaps of success through the years, which is number 4. So I hope for the sake of cricket that both he and Virat Kohli find their best form and light up this series. Then at 5 is a man who's given India plenty of heartbreaks in the last year or so, Travis Head. He just loves batting against India regardless of the format. I don't know what it is. This opposition brings out even what the Ashes don't. So he will have a gun series, that's for sure. I'm not too sure about his current form though, and it honestly doesn't matter because he's going to have a cracker of a series regardless, just like he does every time he plays against India. Then at number 6 is Mitch Marsh, another fiery Australian batter who takes the attack to the opposition and pretty much bats in 4th and 5th gear from the whole time. Him and Travis Head are for Australia what Rishabh Pant is for India. Marsh's form once again remains to be tested. However, These players who are not very reliant on a solid technique to be successful, they don't need to worry even if they're not in the best of form. So Mitch Marsh at 6. I think Captain Cummins has also said that he might bowl during the series if needed. So that's an added advantage with Mitch Marsh. Then at 7 is wicketkeeper batsman Alex Carey, another solid Aussie left-handed batter. Then at 8, just like India's only spinner is an off spinner, as is Australia's. Nathan Lyon will be doing the spin duties for the Aussies, and he's pretty damn good at it, isn't he? You know, the hallmark of Nathan Lyon's bowling is that he's patient. He works over batsmen by landing it in the same spot again and again and again, and then subtly varies the pace and line and length to produce that wicket-taking ball. And also, another job that he does that is usually underrated is he holds one end up while the fast bowlers are going through their bursts from the other end. In the heat of Australia in the summer, it's not possible for a fast bowler to bowl a 10 over spell. So they have three fast bowlers, they're going to rotate them. Nathan Lyon will hold one end up and he keeps the pressure on. He makes sure that the pressure that his mates have built up from the other end, he does not release. He does not bowl any looseners. So even if he's not taking wickets, there's no real release balls, there's no pressure release balls, because the pressure that's built up by the quicks has to be maintained, and he does it really, really well. So that is Nathan Lyon at number 8. Then the three quicks need no introduction. They've got the nickname of the killer pace trio: Captain Pat Cummins, Mitch Starc, and Josh Hazlewood. They will absolutely love bowling at the pacey and bouncy Perth pitch tomorrow morning. The reason why they are very, very successful is that they keep pounding on that good length spot. That frustrates the batters because they have to keep leaving the ball. Hence, the moment the batters see something full, they go to play an aggressive stroke, an attacking stroke to get some runs. But it is all a setup, as the swing either takes the ball through the gate, through the bat pad gap to hit the stumps, or takes the outside edge of the bat through to the corner. So that's Australia's team for you. Dangerous as ever and far more settled than India's. Before we get to my prediction for the series, it's important to note another very, very crucial factor that must be taken into consideration. The fact that India has just suffered a historic home test series loss to New Zealand. It was India's first test series loss at home since 2012, which was more than 4,000 days ago, ending a period of complete home domination. And it wasn't just any loss, it was a series whitewash. In fact, get ready for this. This was the first time India has ever been whitewashed at home. Crazy. Now, what implications will this have on India's performance in the BGT? Only time will tell. Because they'll be hurting from it, no doubt. Let's see how they respond come tomorrow morning. I would like to think that it will awaken a hidden beast in this Indian team, and they will hence go the extra mile to make sure that they do everything in their power to turn it around down under. And this can already be seen in India's decision to reach Australia more than 2 weeks before the first test, something that you do not usually see with visiting teams doing anywhere. But they did it to make sure that they're acclimatized to the conditions and their preparation is absolutely perfect for the series. Next, the implications of this series on the World Test Championship final. It has been overly advertised that India need to win this series by a margin of 4-0 or 5-0 without losing a single game to gain direct qualification for the WTC final. Obviously, this is unlikely to happen, but India can even get in if they just win the series, regardless of the margin, provided some other results go their way, of course. So I think India should just focus on winning the series and not be too concerned on about WTC qualification right now. The series starts in Perth, undoubtedly the toughest wicket batting-wise of the series. Then the day-night test match in Adelaide, which will bring its own unique set of challenges. Remember, the last time India played a day-night test match, they were bowled out for 36. Then the series moves to the Gabba, then the Boxing Day test in Melbourne, and then the series finale in the New Year's test in Sydney. Now, last, let's get to my predictions. As a cricket analyst, I would realistically say that Australia are the clear favourites heading into the series, just based on the fact that their batting looks really, really settled, certainly more settled than India's. And secondly, their pace attack is far better than India's as well. As for the margin, I don't really know. I do expect India to win at least one test match somewhere along the way, maybe even two. So the Aussies are the favourites. Batter with the most runs, I feel, will be Travis Head from Australia and Rishabh Pant from India. Bowling-wise, highest wicket taker Josh Hazlewood from Australia and Jasprit Bumrah from India. However, from an Indian fan's point of view, I would want India to win the series, of course. Mind you, there's always a chance for India to do it. Do not write India off. Before the previous series as well, everybody was thinking like me. India has no chance. But look at what they did. So anything is possible, and that is the beauty. That's why we love this sport. That's why we love Test cricket. That is all for today. Let me know in the comments who you have as your winner. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember that I will continue to post many more such videos throughout the series. So subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of that. For now, thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.